I guess the coaches around the league are all dressing up as different characters. Some of them dressing up as ghosts already, and Brian Kelly and Billy Napier, nowhere to be found. But I want to start with your most recent power rankings in the league, and you have Texas A&M number 1, coming off a 49-25 shellacking of LSU in Baton Rouge. What was it that prompted you to plump A&M above Alabama, and how much staying power do the Aggies have going into this bye week?
Well, I'll answer that, but real quick, I do have a Brian Kelly costume. I came ready. There's my Brian Kelly mask here.
There's the poster for the segment. Yeah.
Here. But, so A&M, number 1, no doubt, in the SEC at this point in time. I'm still high on Alabama. I think it's going to be Alabama and A&M in the SEC championship game. So not completely writing off Alabama, but you just simply can't deny the Aggies right now with how well they're playing on both sides of the ball. I think they're the most balanced team, and I think they've probably been the most balanced for a couple of weeks now. Marcel Reed's playing at an insane level, and the defense just keeps getting better and better each and every week. So, yeah, I mean, not only do they look like the best team in the SEC, I think A&M is a legitimate national championship contender.
Well, Mike, I've never heard you say that. And we were talking around here, we've never been able to say that late in the season. And that includes 2020 when they finished in the top 5. Because they were fighting for that last playoff spot during the COVID season, but also Alabama existed that year. And nobody was beating Bama that season. In fact, they beat A&M by 24, 30 points earlier that year. That was their one loss. And even in 2012 with the Johnny Manziel Heisman season, the Aggies were, they lost their season opener and they had 2 losses by midseason. And that was back when there wasn't even a 4-team playoff, much less a 12. So we've never had this conversation here. So it's really uncharted territory. What's your weakness for A&M if they don't win an SEC title, or if they go to the playoffs but don't make any noise? Like, what's something that concerns you as someone sitting on the outside when you've watched and followed this team?
Yeah, I would say still, again, I think the defense is getting better and better, right? But they've had some blemishes. But again, you just kind of go back to Mike Elko, though, and we all know what an outstanding defensive coach he is. So you have faith there. Again, this will be the case for literally any team, but if something happened to Marcel, I don't want to envision a world where he can't play, but we've seen it. He's been a little bit banged up at times. Le'Veon Moss is already out, and I thought, just like last year, I think that it's fair to wonder, well, how good will A&M be without him? Obviously, we're a much different offense in College Station, so I didn't think it would devastate us like it did last year. But that's something that I thought it was a tremendous, great sign that you could go on the road and destroy LSU without Le'Veon Moss. So I honestly, the defense a little bit, that would maybe be the biggest issue.
Yeah.
And again, we're saying to win the national championship, to win the SEC. I'm not saying they have a bad defense that they're going to cave down the stretch. You know what I mean?
No, I think that's a fair. I got into it this week about another team in their defense where I think their defense has to be elite. I don't think A&M's defense has to be elite. If A&M goes out every Saturday and plays good defense, I think you're talking about an undefeated team that's going to Atlanta for the first time, and then we go from there. But the defense. It's an interesting unit. When they give up 42 to Arkansas, 41 to Notre Dame, but then at times in games they can go from being, they're okay, to flat out dominant. So they've got it in them. That's what's exciting about this. And that offense, who outside of those two is a team, I've seen your rankings, but if you were to pick outside of A&M and Bama, a team from the SEC right now, and I said, Mike, they're going to be playing in the semifinals or playing for the national championship, who would your third pick be?
Yeah, to be honest with you, Bill, I don't have a ton of confidence in these two, but you can't write them off either, and that would be Georgia and Ole Miss. Because on one hand, you credit Georgia for finding ways to win. I think that's very undervalued. Like when someone wins a close one, we're like, well, they didn't look that good. Well, they won the damn game, and that is so hard to do. But Georgia is sitting here, I believe, 4-1 in the conference. They very, very, very easily could be 1-4. Tennessee missed field goal, and Auburn questionable call on the goal line.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, not coming up short in the fourth quarter. I mean, then Georgia's sitting here 1-4.
That's crazy.
They have it in them. I think they can win and they have more talent than anybody, or as much as anybody. So Georgia's there and Ole Miss, but I don't want to call it smoke and mirrors because that takes away from what they're doing down there. But I think we've seen some limitations to Chambliss's game, even though he has been sensational. And heck, I think if they keep this going and they go 11-1, I think you could make a strong case that Chambliss should be a Heisman contender for what he's done for that program.
Yeah.
But I don't know that they have the roster that can win the national championship. So in my mind, right now, it's really down to A&M and Alabama. But hey, I don't want to get canceled from your program here, but we can't write off Texas either. And
no, not because of what you just said about Georgia is why you can't.
If I didn't even realize this was still a possibility, and I don't want to put this into your guys'
universe. Yeah, I've already done it. Don't worry.
But if A&M loses to, let's say, Missouri on the road, and which I'm not saying they will, but if they do, and they lose to Texas, and Texas wins out, guess who goes to the SEC championship? It's going to be Texas once again. So they're still alive for it.
Now, I was going to have Bronny ask the next one, but now you've got me where I got to cut in here because I know you know this. But you're right, and I've thought about that. And Vandy will play you in a close game. The way they win, the game they're comfortable in, it almost reminds me a little of like the Jimbo teams when they were good. They'll play you in a close game because they're real comfortable there. But with that comes, one thing goes one way, like it could have last week against Missouri or even LSU. It's going to be that kind of game Saturday, right? And then for exactly what you said about Georgia, they're not that good. They're good, but they're not elite like we're used to. So I get what you're saying. On the flip side, what I've had to tell these Longhorns, and I've been in a steady battle with them, as you know, and they get super defensive, but I'm like, before you guys start projecting out, let me remind you that what just took place was you beat Kentucky and Mississippi State in overtime each. And I know Mississippi State has played some teams tough. They were beating your holy asses up and down the field at Davis Wade Stadium before a miracle took place. And maybe that's a season-changing miracle. But you took a colossal, epic meltdown and a horrific decision by Mark Stoops to not be 0-2 against Kentucky and Mississippi State in the last two times we saw you play football. So just worry about Vandy and Diego Pavia, and we'll see.
All right, that'll do it for the free part of this interview. For the extended version, please go to texags.com/subscribe and become a premium subscriber. And if you're a Texas A&M student, you can get that for free. So check it out, texags.com/subscribe.